Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'll analyze the astrology of this new moon in Cancer. As always, new moons are new beginnings as the sun, male/yang principle unite with the moon, yin/female principle, opening a portal for manifestation of the energies of the sign they're in. In this case is Cancer. Let me remind you that the new moon, as most astrological events, not necessarily manifests the day of, but opens up a portal that can last up to 6 months. Now, this new moon is ruled by itself, as is in rulership in Cancer. The moon represents your mood, your emotions, intuition, comfort, nurturing, etc. And Cancer is the sign of the animal that doesn't leave the house. It has an exoskeleton, so it's very protective. Cancer is a water sign, so it rules feelings and is comfortable with going with the flow. And it's cardinal, so it's comfortable with initiating something new in line with the new moon energy. And it could be very strategic and motivated. Now, Cancer is home-oriented, family-focused, caring, cyclical, like the moon, so it can be moody, it changes quickly, but it's very instinctive, also very private, attached, and security-seeking, but it's soft in the inside in spite of the outer shell, so it's very receptive. This coincides with the time of the year that kids are at home on vacation and it's time for family planning and for fun. Now, this new moon is in conjunction with Jupiter, the great benefic, that is exalted in Cancer. And Jupiter is larger than life. It rules growth, abundance, optimism, faith, wisdom, philosophy, freedom, etc. Jupiter uplifts, expands, and teaches, though it can be in excess, so it could lead to overindulgence or unrealistic expectation. And Jupiter is also Cassimi right before the new moon, which means that it becomes one with the sun within 1 degree. It's like being crowned by the king itself, amplifying Jupiter's splendor and potency. Now, when a planet is Cassimi, is basically the death and rebirth of the planet. It's like it resets the synodic cycle between the sun and the planet. So that is also another indication of a new start. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces, traditional, and Sagittarius represents the quest for meaning, the drive to explore the world through exploration, travel, learning. It represents belief systems and experiences. It values expansion and freedom, often pushing boundaries. And Pisces represents the mythical, the spiritual dimension of life. It seeks oneness. It tunes with the invisible realms. Pisces has no boundaries and it can merge well with the others, sometimes too much. It rules dreams, intuition, the collective unconscious, and that is where we have our North Node now, that is like our North guiding star. Now, we have Mercury, the messenger of the gods, in Cancer too, though this is not in conjunction with the new moon, but there's a stellium of planets where all these energies concentrate, merge, blend, and compound. So, emotional sensitivity increases for the collective, as well as a desire for safety and nurturing. There's a strong urge for emotional connections and to be protective. Jupiter expands everything that is the feelings, the beliefs, and the emotional reactions, for better and for worse. So the highs feel higher and the lows feel lower. There's a desire for personal growth, there's a need for truth and for freedom, and there's a need also for spiritual growth and depth. On a lower note, boundaries might blur and it could be too much. There's a potential for escapism and idealization, or getting overwhelmed and therefore defensive. On a higher note, there's a global or collective theme of healing, spiritual surging, and protecting the vulnerable with so much upheaval in the world. And speaking of the devil, I wonder what triggers this energy, because this energy with this concentration in Cancer reminds me of when the North Node was in Cancer in 2020. And that's when we literally had to stay home. So I'm not predicting another lockdown, but there is this vibe. So let's see what's for the rest of the chart. The new moon is square Saturn, and Neptune in the conjunction in Aries. And to recap, the Saturn is the planet of dense. It represents matter, authority, rules, structure, hierarchy, and is very slow and steady, building the foundation for a new life. And Neptune is complete opposite. It's dreamy, ethereal. It keeps up with the vision and with the faith. So this is an unlikely pair, while Saturn grounds us, so we can make things happen. Neptune tells us that there's more to life than brick and mortar, so we can manifest and then transcend that which manifests. It asks us to give it to God, to have faith. But it's in a square. So this energy is challenging us to manifest a new beginning in our lives, likely with our loved ones, that faces a tension between reality, Saturn, and idealism, Neptune. So basically it's a theme of what we can do with what we have and how. So whatever we start is actually sustainable. Now, because the new moon is in a sextile with Mars, the planet of action, in Virgo, the sign is an earth sign. This action is supported by a very grounded energy. And Mars wants to go, 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 but Virgo tells us to slow down, to pay attention to detail. Mars in Virgo is very surgical. Mars is like the scalpel, and Virgo is like the archetype of the nurse. So it's something that needs to be cut, but we're going to do it in a careful way. We're going to be very discriminating. That's the right word. But because we also have the South Node in Virgo, and that's what we need to release, we don't want to be too anal, too critical, or let the tree hide the forest. And with Mercury in Cancer, that's another indication of paying attention to details, but more in a balanced way. We need to go more with the flow. So balance is this weird thing that is a challenge to achieve it, but more so to maintain it. Now with the new moon is in a semi-square with Venus, the other benefic and ruler of love, harmony, and she's in rulership in Taurus. So this is the sign of material values. And now we have both benefics dignify, so we can manifest what we want, but not without personal effort. We need to be invested. And Venus is in good aspects with the nodes of faith, supporting the mission, with the past and the future. Now the new moon is also in a quincunx with Pluto. And a quincunx is a very uncomfortable aspect because they have nothing in common. They don't have the same polarity, they don't have the same element, they don't have the same modality. And Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation in Aquarius, the sign of the collective. But a quincunx, also what we call an inconjunction, is like the planets don't even speak to each other. So a transformation may feel very alien. We might want to be couch potatoes when the world is requiring us to step up our game. Now, there's a finger of God with this new moon and Mars also in an inconjunction with Pluto, pointing out to this transmutation, meaning transformation plus mutation, meaning growth and change. And this is unavoidable, as uncomfortable as it could be. But remember, in life you have two kind of periods, the periods of rest and the period of growth. And those are incompatible. When you rest, you don't grow, and when you grow, you don't rest. And we need to learn how to go with the ebb and flow, not to struggle with the juggle, so to speak. And with Venus in rulership and the moon too, we have both the feminine yin signs in power, which counterbalance this Mars energy, which is very relevant, not only as it forms, as it's part of the yacht with the new moon and Pluto, but also as it disposes the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. So there's a balance between aggression and diplomacy. And finally, Mercury, the planet of communication in Cancer, represents like our love language, how we communicate with our loved ones. They say that between what is said and not meant, and between what is meant and not said, most of love is lost, because we're more comfortable with sending someone to hell than saying sorry. And Mercury is in a square with wounded Chiron, the planet where we hurt, but also where we heal. So we need to learn how to talk about the issues that separate us, as vulnerability is paradoxically a strength. And Mercury is in an opposition with Pluto, challenging us to transform the way we express ourselves. But Mercury, in a supportive flow with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, help us manifest, as in the beginning it was the word, because the word comes from the thought, from the world of ideas that precedes manifestation into matter. And Mercury, representing the word, is in a flow with Uranus too, the planet of shock and change, sudden change. And Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, is electrifying, is liberating. So who knows? You might get shocked at someone telling you that they love you, or the other way around. So overall, this is a positive, unifying new moon where we set the record straight. And this is by prioritizing what's important in our lives, and it takes the focus away from the world into our world. And just as astrology is above, so below, the world is also a reflection of us, as within, so without, and the other way around. Okay, and now for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Think of your Sun as your soul, your Moon as your mood, your internal experience, and your Rising more as your ego, your identity. Now, this new moon lands in your 4th house of home, roots, and emotional foundations, and is challenging you to redefine what safety and belonging means for you. What is home, basically? And you might feel torn between yourself and your loved ones, what grounds you emotionally, and who you're becoming might be at odds somehow, especially if old patterns no longer fit your emerging identity. In my therapy work, most people struggling between the person they want to be, or the person that they are becoming, and the person that falls for all the family dynamics at home. There's a saying that your new life might cost you the old one, but that it doesn't have to be a choice of either or. The trick here is how to bring your authentic self to start the new beginning at home in line with your ever-evolving identity. Their deep emotional sensitivity around family, home life, or private matters. There's a desire for a sanctuary, but with growing pains and tensions or change, it might stir some subconscious memories or ancestral patterns. I always say that all the advance I accomplish with patients in the treatment room go out the window the week they go home for the holidays, and we're back to square one. But know that anything that triggers you is a test, and is also the opportunity to set the record straight. You don't have to be aggressive. I know that's not that easy for Aries, but assertiveness doesn't have to look like losing your marbles. Actually, it does not look like losing your marbles. Assertiveness looks like you're solid, you're grounded, you're centered, and no one can throw you off from there. So all those old buttons, they don't work anymore. A simple "I no longer respond to that," or "no one talks to me like that," will raise eyebrows and a newfound respect. So if the opportunity arises, try that. Now, with the square to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries in your 1st house of self, there is this pressure to embody your dreams, but you feel like you're unclear about who you're becoming so far, because Saturn demands you to slow down. Again, not easy for Aries, but is required to build foundations and the structure for the new you, while Neptune gives you the vision, and even if it is dreamy and is an ideal to follow, with the understanding that what's ideal is not real, together they set the stage for what's realistic and possible, and that's how you manifest. Now, you might feel in a tug of war, both inspired yet constrained by your current self-image and where you're heading and who you want to bring along. And with the yacht pointing to Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house, this could be some intensity also involving friends, acquaintances, communities, or collective groups of people. Pluto wants to affect deep change in how you connect socially. You might feel like your tribe is shifting, or your role within it needs redefining, or you need to change your tribe, in as much as your family might feel like holding you back, so your groups of people, friends, acquaintances, and so on. But this is a karmic push to evolve your place in the world in a way that it aligns with your transformation and serves a higher purpose. So, to recap, you are building your foundation where it nurtures you might look different than what it did before. You're stepping into a new version of self, even if it feels unclear. Clarity will grow with commitment. And you're transforming your social identity and aligning with, it's important to align with communities that reflect your evolving vision. Now, this lunation is asking Aries to commit to growing through emotional discomfort, to restructure your life from the inside out. And remember, if for a moment you feel unsupported or lonely, realize that we're like the magnets, and magnets not only attract but also repel, and that's how your vibe attracts your tribe. And if you need a personal reading where I can help you the most, my prices are reasonable, so reach out to me at Astrology by Virginia at pm.me, or check my website as astrologybyvirginia.com. I'm also working on a beginner's course to teach you how to learn your own chart, so stay tuned. And with that, I will leave you today. Please share the love and subscribe, because it's good karma. It takes me more than a minute to make this, so just a sec to like. So if you do, put the thumbs up. If you don't, put the thumbs down. And please engage. Feel free to comment below, make requests, and I'll make my best to honor them. And hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out. Remember, I will never reach out to you, so be aware of scammers. Thank you for your time. See you in the sign by sign. Namaste.